let me straight away go to Professor Swaran Singh. Should we ignore it? Should we take it seriously? Or should we take it as some sort of an indication?
I think it's a commentary that cannot be ignored, and India has to definitely respond to it, but do so not in the sense of using the same pedestrian language or showing any kind of panic. India is more than capable of dealing with several Pakistans, but definitely some well calibrated, calculated, clear response. Indeed, I would say that the statements by Field Marshal in United States should be seen as a concern for the entire world. As you just quoted him saying that we will take half the world with us. It's not a comment from any sane person, and doesn't befit the Field Marshal. The world usually holds military in a great esteem, but if you start hearing that kind of lumpen language being used so loosely, I think the whole world has to take note of it, and India should work in that direction, showcasing how Pakistan is not just a concern for India, but given their stakes and commitments to using terrorism, their sympathizers in nuclear establishment towards various terrorist organizations. Absolutely. It's a matter of concern for the entire world, I suppose.
Okay. Now I open this to the House. Whenever there is an animosity or tension between Russia and America, China gets adventurous, whether it was the Bay of Pigs crisis. And there is a Pakistan and a strong all-weather relationship between China and Pakistan. So, what is the India challenge in context of what has emerged during Operation Sindoor, keeping in mind that the summit which we are talking about, the Alaska summit which we are talking about, has not taken place. It's still hours away, and unless and until there is a resolution between Putin and Trump, this equation between China and Pakistan will be even more persistent, because China thinks that it has the space to act, because two big powers are distracted.
Definitely it is true that when the two major powers, United States and Russia, are engaged in certain amount of saber-rattling between themselves, it gives that kind of maneuvering space to China to showcase its own maneuvering capacity. Most wars actually are a exhibition of war fighting technologies, war fighting capabilities, and China used this military confrontation between India and Pakistan for 4 days to demonstrate the transformed capacity that China today has. Of course, it suffered in the sense that weapons were destroyed by India, and Army Chief recently detailed on that subject very clearly in great length. So, China was using this opportunity to showcase its warfighting capacity through Pakistan. Turkey is another country which today sells Bakhtiar TB2 drones to about 30 countries now, is emerging as a major arms exporter, also about $5.5 billion of arms exports now, was also using its weapon systems to showcase that in Pakistan war. And India used and showcased its own increasing, I think, other than modern weapons and the linkage and blending with AI, indigenization was the hallmark of this Operation Sindoor from Indian side, showcasing how India as an emerging nation is going to rely increasingly on its indigenous capacities in dealing with all sorts of challenges. And when it comes to civilians being increasingly targets of any military operations, any military tensions, this goes back to the middle of 19th century industrial revolution, when civilians had started becoming targets of war fighting. Of course, the transformation is exponential, and India has to therefore engage Indian citizens, Indian public also to become increasingly aware of what is happening, how to understand it and how to deal with that. And in that sense, I think we have seen for about now 25 years, particularly Kargil war onwards, the way Indian nation, Indian media has stood together behind whosoever was in power at that moment, and parties across the spectrum have also stood behind the party in power, is a reflection of India, not just in terms of armed forces being very prepared to deal with challenges of an emerging great nation called India, but Indian political elite, Indian common people are also increasingly becoming in tune and aware and conscious. And I am sure the new kind of challenges that they might face from, for example, information warfare or cyber warfare would be something that I think, compared to several other nations, Indian nation and Indian citizens, Indian people are, I think, far more prepared.
Okay.
And we saw this happening in these 4 days also.
Okay.